Hey there, everybody. Good to be here with you always, always. I hope you're doing well. Woo, what a day we had yesterday. I'm telling you, every day is like a new day, like times 10, right? Real quick, I just want to say, if, in case somebody, don't worry about me if you see me a little puppy and a little less makeup today. I tried a new eye makeup yesterday. It did not go well. So yeah, taking some antihistamines and trying to get this puffiness to go down. But it ain't about how I look; it's about what I do. I'm so glad to be here with you all. Thank you so much for your support. Getting the word out about the channel, trying to always grow and offer the content to a larger audience. If you are new here, hey, I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. You can check out my About tab to learn a little more about me or go to my website, trulytouchedbytarot.com. By the way, I do offer personal readings, so you can check that out as well on my website. And I have a membership that I offer bonus content, and I meet privately once a month via Zoom with my YouTube members. So that a link to how to join is in the description box below. All right, you all. Couple of things, not going to read on, but just want to vibe with you about it and love your comments always. I was getting a hit yesterday about some link between the Artemis launch, and Elon Musk, right? And a couple of you were like, I don't know about that. That's more, the government, right? Check it out. Today we're understanding that Musk there's a new IPO, $1 trillion IPO for SpaceX. Right after, like 5 minutes after the successful launch, thank goodness, praying for the astronauts and that mission. But 5 minutes later, here comes Elon Musk, and we understand now there's a public offering, $1 trillion IPO for SpaceX. In addition, right after that launch, successful launch of Artemis, we understand that 29 new Starlink satellites got, out there doing their thing now. So there is a tie. There is some sort of tie. I think that the Artemis mission, perhaps to some extent, is Musk has made arrangements with this administration to pump his agenda up and his plans up for space travel. We know his thing about Mars, etc. So just wanted to verify that. That's what I think Spirit was getting at with some link that I kept getting between Musk and this Artemis launch. All right, second thing, how about Scotus yesterday? Woo! That situation, talk about tense. You could have cut the tension with a knife. And Trump just jumped up and walked out. They said after an hour he couldn't take it anymore. In particular, we Ketanji Brown Jackson, like, salute, mwah, chef's kiss, just pristine and logical, and did her thing to absolutely destroy their arguments, the administration's arguments around this birthright citizenship. But perhaps more surprisingly was Amy Coney Barrett. They said she got hot, like she was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, predictions are, and I went to Spirit and getting the same thing. Birthright citizenship is going to be protected. We're pretty sure of that. Looking at maybe a 7-2 split. We know that Thomas and probably Alito gone, just gone and gone, goner, right? But that's going to hold tight. Interestingly as well, for somebody who went to the court to try and intimidate them from, he left there. He left the oral argument, and apparently at a luncheon went on the attack again and called them stupid or dumb or stupid and stupid free thinkers, right? Dumb or stupid free thinkers on the court. Yeah, that's an interesting way to try and sway them, right? So he knows it's coming. That's the bottom line. He's already on the attack because he knows this is going to be a big loser, the second biggest loser since the decision on tariffs. So that's going to happen. All right, you all. Now I want to get to some cards. Do we have a new NATO? like as we speak, is there a new NATO being formed? We understand that today, Thursday, I'm taping this Thursday morning, Keir Starmer out of the UK has assembled. There will be a virtual meeting held today. I've seen estimates between the BBC and the Guardian are saying roughly between 30 and 35 nations. That's no small potatoes, right? Including, the heavy hitters. Of course, the UK, they're hosting. France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Canada, South Korea, New Zealand, the UAE, Middle Eastern nations are going to start to reconfigure some things as well. And Nigeria, Africa in the equation, right? So we're hearing more that, he's threatening, well, then we'll just pull out of NATO. You can't count on us to do anything. It's up to you to figure out how to straighten out this situation with the Strait of Hormuz. That's what this call today that Keir Starmer is hosting. That's what the call is about. I want to see if the Iranian regime is going to be willing to work with these other nations, because they've said all along, we understand what's happening here. This is a very sophisticated, and it doesn't matter. They've got their situation set up that it doesn't matter who they've taken out. They've already got it arranged for the next stage of leadership to step in. Spirit, are we going to see essentially a new NATO with these countries minus the U.S. not participating today in this call? Are we going to see what amounts to a new NATO beginning to form because of Trump's stance on not working with the allies? Is this basically they're just going to start to move on without him and work out something with Iran? We have and I'm reading with the Earth Woman Tarot. That just felt very right for today in the wake of Coney Barrett and Ketanji Brown Jackson yesterday, among others, of course. So we got the Three of Pentacles, definitely a card of working together, building a coalition of these other nations that have been allies and are NATO members, but beginning to build something else together, working cooperatively. Will Iran be amenable to diplomacy with this separate group of nations? The sun. I mean, Spirit ain't even making me work hard for it today, you all. The sun. Yes. There will be diplomatic channels, and that's going to burn Trump even more, right? The fact that he told them, okay, you go figure it out for yourselves. And they're like, okay, then that's what we're going to do. In the Ten of Pentacles, you all. This is the ships. I understand I read this morning, there are an estimate of about 1,000 ships that are out there around the Strait of Hormuz that are currently being blocked. The Ten of Pentacles looks like, I see that as this conglomeration of new, this sort of loosely termed new NATO that's forming, and these nations coming together. But also Ten of Pentacles feels like results, the ships, the trade, the money. Spirit. And the Hermit. Yes, you all, this is going to be successful in some interesting ways. It's almost like be careful what you say, because it just may come to pass. And so the idea in his mind, in Trump's mind, that the Strait of Hormuz, one way or another, might be dependent on the U.S. is not the deal. We're looking at the Sun. We're looking at the Ten of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles. These nations coming together. This call is going to be very successful in terms of bonding and developing a solidified agenda that they can then begin to present to and have some diplomacy with Iran. Spirit, will Iran allow ships from these various nations then? Will they open up the Strait of Hormuz to allow for more flow and unblock these ships? Ace of Swords. Thank you, Spirit. I cleansed this morning. I'm telling you, I cleansed this morning, and it's working, right? Ace of Swords. Yes. Iran is going to work with, and also because that gives Iran, the Iranian regime, further proof to say, we are not the world's enemy. opinions about their ultimate government or not, those that aside. But we are willing, we are reasonable, and we are willing. This was not our war, this was not our idea, and we did not do anything to provoke it. So expect some interesting and potentially really positive things to come out of this new, what Spirit said to me as a new NATO. All right. What else? The other thing that I see is, and I haven't been able to verify it. I've seen some things on social media, Threads, Blue Sky, some other places, that one of the things that the Iranian leadership is saying, that for them to just tamp everything down, because we know after last night, when Trump, if you want to call it a speech, when he says, okay, for the next 3 weeks, we're getting ready to really go hard. And they said, okay, you can do that if you want, but you go hard, we go harder, right? The response. But also, we're seeing that they are, or I have seen, and maybe you have too, that part of what Iran is saying, their regime is saying, is, look, we're ready any day now to stop all of this. But talking about regime change, because there's two things that Trump has mentioned. One, the uranium. We're going to go after the uranium. But then last night, well, it's probably too hard to get to anyway. So justification for doing this, if it was about uranium, nope, that's not looking like the deal. And if it was about regime change, that's not looking like the deal. Meanwhile, Iranian leadership, from what I'm seeing, is saying, we're ready to step down any day now. But how about some regime change in the U.S.? And interestingly, you've got so many people in this country on social media like, we're for it. That's why we out here protesting. So we have justice. There is bear with me. There is a reasonableness, is the word that Spirit is giving me. There's a reasonableness. There's a cogent quality to the response by Iran that is running counter to anything that Rubio or Trump or anybody is trying to say. Hey, these are just entirely irrational, awful people. Like, they have really gained a lot of what I'm getting in justice. They've gained a lot of respect. I'm kind of cringing a little bit when I say that word. You get it. But they've gained, the Iranian regime has gained a lot of respect. I'm going to stick with what Spirit is saying, in terms of how they're handling this, in terms of how they're responding. And the Two of Pentacles, some choices that everyone around the globe, not just here in America, but everyone around the globe is feeling about change in the U.S. regime, if you will. So it's not that, and the Six of Cups, yes. This is also a desire. Six of Cups, they call it a card of nostalgia very often, but it is there's still these shock waves that are going on around the world globally, around, what people understood the U.S. to be, even if it was, as a world power, manipulative, strong, but asserting its power. But it was also in a way that was acceptable, that did make, people feel that they had an alliance with the country. So there's a desire and a call to return to that. So yeah, there's some steam there, and people are listening. That's really what I think Spirit is saying, is that, rather than the Iranian regime being seen as these just extremists that, because of their own policies, perhaps, different countries may object to, but in terms of how they are handling this war strategically, there's a lot of respect toward them. So we'll see what happens there. All right, you all, the other thing that I wanted to look at, Bondi. Is Bondi being replaced with this guy, head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin? We understand that, word on the street, right? New York Times broke the story, but there's a lot of confirmation around that as well, that, it got rid of Kristi Noem for, obvious reasons. Corey Lewandowski is in some trouble too, because of the contracts and some back dealing that we're seeing with Palantir, but we'll look at that another day. But now, after he got rid of Noam, Is Bondi next on the chopping block, right? We're seeing New York Times broke the story that according to a lot of inside sources, he's blaming her for basically everything. She went with him to the court yesterday, the Supreme Court yesterday. But when he gave that speech last night, guess who they said was in the front row? This Lee Zeldin, head of the EPA. Would for what? Bondi was there as well, but clock's ticking, I'm thinking, because two things. One, no help in it really advancing his agenda, and two, the whole Epstein thing. We know the minute the Epstein situation has not by any means stopped, but we also know that this a lot of what happened with the impetus behind the war and why he's gone for it, this administration has gone for it, was to at least slow down the advances that have been made and will continue to be made in the release and full transparency of the Epstein files. She has flubbed that left, right, and center. We are being told that the only reason that she's lasted this long, you all, is because Susie Wiles has come out and said she basically considers Bondi like a sister. We know they go way back in the day from in Florida, right? They're tight. Wiles can't save her. Spirit, are we going to see Bondi replaced with Lee Zeldin in the near future, in the near term? Are we going to see Bondi out and replaced by Lee Zeldin? Is that the truth? The reports that are coming out by the New York Times and other media outlets, is that true? We have I can't see, the tower. I'm trying to tell you, and the magician right behind it. Y'all, okay, this deck is not playing today. Point blank, period. Bondi's on her way out. And it looks like this guy, Lee Zeldin, is on his way in. Now, one of the reasons that we know also that Spirit has said and others have said that these, these cabinet members who leave, not cause for a sigh of relief, because of course the replacements are always going to be as bad as, if not perhaps worse than the initial person. We know that I took a couple of notes. I looked Lee Zeldin up. He's a little younger than Bondi, 46, she's 60. But he is, again, head of EPA. But he's in hot water with this MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement. He's in hot water with them because he's all about, stripping away environmental protections. That's part of what he's done since he got appointed last January. So he's out, gas emissions, like every possible stance to help the environment that he's come against, stripping funding from research, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what this Lee Zeldin is about. But I also get with the magician and the tower, that is a confirmation that's the direction that Trump is going in. Now, will he get, and the Six of Swords, moving ahead. So this feels like sometime in the probably nearer rather than farther out future. Keep your eyes on what happens with this Lee Zeldin, all right? And the Five of Wands. I was wondering about that. I think there may be some conflict. He's not well liked at all. There may be some conflict in the Senate confirmation situation, the Eight of Wands, but they will, despite that conflict, they'll put him through. They know it's coming. We get all of this news kind of, after things have already been put in place. We know how it goes by now. But Bondi in trouble. And all of them, Hexeth next, watch and see. Once this situation, one way or another, the retreat from Iran and the humiliation behind that, like what did you win exactly? Watch him begin to throw Hexeth under the bus. And Hexeth, I think, is going to be next, but we'll keep our eye on that. All right, you all, thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate the hypes, the comments, the sharing information around the channel. I just cannot thank you enough. Chin up, right? There's momentum. There's some serious momentum happening. Chin up, shoulders back. Breathe, right? Breathe. Because the sky's above us and the earth is beneath us, holding us down. I'll talk to you later. Bye.